What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talk Sports with Jake. Hope you're all doing well. Season 7 finale of Talk Sports with Jake. Obviously, we got some big trades to talk about, but let's start with the Stanley Cup final game from this weekend. Panthers cruised past the Oilers 5-2. Was really never all that close. Florida jumped out early, was pretty much dominant in that first period, going up 2-0. Go up 3-0 in the second period. Oilers I'm back to give them some life, but Florida answers right away, go up 4-1, and at that point the game was basically over. 5-2 win for Florida. They go up 3-2. Game 6 is going to be tomorrow night. Florida has a chance to go back-to-back and win their second straight Stanley Cup final. Oilers still have not a starting goalie. Obviously, Skinner had been starting for a while in this postseason and this entire series, ever since Pickard got hurt. Hadn't been playing well, but hadn't played great in this series. Not all on him. Guys in front of him could have done a little better job. Oilers kept putting themselves on the one-man disadvantage throughout the series. But they went to Skinner in Game 5, or in Game 4, when they were down 3-0, and they took him out. They're going up 3-0 after a period, and Pickard played really well. They came all the way back, and they started him in Game 5, and did not go very well. So he wanted to go back to Skinner. I'm sorry, but if it's Game 6 of a Stanley Cup final, and you're still not sure who your starting goalie is, you never really had one to begin with, okay? They were split during the regular season with a slight edge to Pickard. In the playoffs, Pickard was to start heading to the postseason. He gets hurt. Skinner gets thrown in there. He kind of takes the job and runs with it. Then he kind of starts struggling in this cup final, in this series. You go back to Pickard for a game, and the results are not obviously what you wanted. So at this point, I don't even know what you do. I don't even know what to do. I might stick with Calvin Pickard. He, for the most part, got you to the playoffs. It wasn't all on him. I mean, 5 goals allowed on 19 shots obviously isn't great. Although it might not have, or they may have had an 19 goal in there. So whatever it is, 5 goals on, I guess technically he faced 18 shots, or 4 goals on 18 shots. One was the 19-netter is not very good. Again, the Oilers didn't play very well. Only 21 shots on goal themselves. It's not very lucky. You only give up 19 shots and you lose by 3 goals. You give up 5. That's obviously not a great look. But again, they had trouble staying out of the box, and it's just not. It's not a good look. But you gotta do something. Obviously, you're getting a little desperate now. I would say I could see something to where you start Pickard, but if you go down 2-0 at any point in this game, I think you have to go right to Stuart Skinner. Circling between goalies is never a recipe for a championship. We've seen, the first it's gotten is probably the Oilers this year. You start Pickard to start the playoffs, and you can go with Skinner. Wolves in the middle of the second round after Pickard gets hurt. He also wasn't playing very well. Skinner plays really well for a while. Then after struggling for a few games, you go to Pickard here in Game 5, and then now you're kind of at what the hell do we do now? The Islanders a couple of years ago in the East Conference Finals, they flip-flop between Sorokin and Varlamar, or I forgot if Robin Leonard was still there, and also they ended up losing in the ECF to Tampa. Yeah, you got to have a goalie to win a Stanley Cup. Sergei Bobrovsky, say what you want about the guy, about the contract, and how his tenure started in Florida. He's been money the last few years, and when he needs to make a big save in the playoffs, he's done these last couple of years. The guy's been unbelievable. So, to me, he's the best goalie in hockey. Nothing Connor Hellebuyck when it comes to playoff goalie. That I haven't seen the guy do what he's done in the playoffs, outside of maybe Andre Vasilevsky and a couple of others. So, kudos to him. And Florida's up 3-2. Game 6 of the Cup final will be on tomorrow night on TNT. The NBA Finals, you had the Thunder beat the Indiana Pacers on Friday, 111-104. Was kind of a back-and-forth game for those first 3 quarters. Thunder slightly pull away with a big fourth quarter, 35 points for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The tie series up at 2. Indiana kind of let that game slip away a little bit. For 3 quarters, it was very close. So, doing the math, so Thunder won by 7. They were down by 7 going into the fourth quarter, so that was close for the whole game for those first 3 quarters. India had a decent grasp on the game and kind of let it fall through your fingers. Thunder, struggled from 3 in those first 3 quarters, came up big in the fourth quarter to pick up the win. But series is now tied 2-2. And now the series will shift back to Oklahoma City for Game 5, which is tonight at 8:30 on ABC, Game 5 of the NBA Finals. But moving on to the NBA, first of all, congratulations to the Knicks. They actually started interviewing candidates, Mike Brown and Taylor Jenkins. I think Mike Brown's a good coach. He was coach of the year only 2 years ago in Sacramento. He was coach of the year in Cleveland. He did have prime LeBron James. However, I think he does deserve a little bit of credit compared to what he gets for that coach of the year with 2006. I think he's a very good coach. How much better is he than Tom Thibodeau? I don't know. And Taylor Jenkins, kind of the same deal. It's a guy who's a very good coach. He's obviously a bit younger than Tom Thibodeau. He uses his bench pretty well. A little more of an innovative mind. Not a bad fit, however. Is he a championship level head coach? I don't know. How much better than Tom Thibodeau is he? But those were first two guys that are getting legit interviews. So it's something, I guess. And the Houston Rockets extend Steven Adams 3 years, $39 million. Adams is on the back end of his career, getting older. Been around a while. He is going to be 32 next year. But he did play pretty well for the Rockets. 58 games this year when he was healthy. He only played 13 minutes a game, but as a backup big, only have 3 points and 5 rebounds. But he did do all. He does a lot of the dirty work. He's a very good rim protector. Obviously, he's a fun guy. He's a good guy to have on your squad. Really good veteran leader to have in the locker room. And the Rockets extend him 3 years and $39 million. Obviously, they're right there in the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. Appears to be them, San Antonio, and Miami as the 3 finalists. I hear that he's going to be a Rocket. I don't think it makes any sense for Miami. First of all, they said they're not trading Tyler Hero on Bam Adebayo, so I'm not sure they can make that trade work. Miami's team, they do need a number 1 scoring option. Durant would bring that. However, this is a guy who's, 36, 37 years old. He gets hurt somewhat often. A guy who can't carry a team anymore. Doesn't play a whole lot of defense anymore. So yeah, and what you're going to give up? I know the Suns did come out and say they don't expect to get anything close to what they gave up to get him. They gave up Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and just a zillion draft picks. Might be some other players in that trade as well. They won't get that, but you got to have a contract to make the money work. So I would think either Hero or Bam would have to be in a trade. I would think. I don't know how else you would make that deal work. And you don't have a ton of picks. They do have Golden State's pick this year. I think it's pick 20 or 25, whatever pick that is. In the Spurs again, depending on what you're getting back. If you're a team that has a lot of picks, you have 2 and 14 minutes. You have a lot of young talent. Obviously, putting them next to 2 Wembanyama would be just vilely disgusting. It'd be just impossible to stop. However, as a team with a really young core, we haven't seen De'Aaron Fox and Wembanyama together. We haven't seen a lot of Stephon Castle and Wembanyama. Obviously, you got Devin Vassell and Calvin Johnson, and those other guys over there, Jeremy Sochin. So maybe you want to see it out for a year. I think they're probably more likely to trade for Giannis. Giannis is a guy who's a pretty clear top 5 player in the league, guy you could have for 5 or 6 years. Durant's only going to be there for a year or 2. And the Rockets, I think it makes sense. You have a really good young squad. You took a step forward this year, making the playoffs after a couple of rough bunch of years there after you traded away James Harden. And you have a good young core. You have a lot of good young players. You've accumulated a bunch of draft picks, but you need that one piece to take it over the top. Again, to try it for a year or 2 may not be a bad idea. I get, again, he's on an expiring salary. He's due $54 million a year, last year of his deal. But, let's say you sign him to a 2-year extension, right? So you have him for 2 or 3 years. If you, don't kill yourself with the trade, what you give up, you put him next to, Amen Thompson and all those guys you have over there. I'm not sure who would go and betray. I would think there would be some sort of contract that's going to have to get with Shayla. Probably Green or Van Vliet. I wouldn't trade Sengun for him. I don't think the Suns could get that out of the Rockets. But, in terms of contract, it would have to be Sengun, Green, or Van Vliet. Van Vliet's got a team option worth almost $45 million. I think it's at 44.8. I think it makes the most sense. You have a team that's got a pretty good amount of depth, a lot of young pieces, has a bunch of draft picks, is really good defensive, but needs a legit top scoring option. Kevin Durant can give you that for a year or 2. That, to me, it makes the most sense. for the Houston Rockets. But Steven Adams was extended 3 years, $39 million. We had a big trade, though, in the NBA that dropped yesterday. The Orlando Magic make a move to acquire Desmond Bane from the Memphis Grizzlies. They send to the Memphis Grizzlies Cole Anthony, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and 4 unprotected first-round picks, and the swap, they gave up their pick this year, which is pick 16. The Suns pick next year, or if they're trading with Kevin Durant, that's a team that could have a top 5 pick next year. Orlando's picks that are unprotected in 2028 and 2030, and the lightly protected swap in 2029. Okay. I think Desmond Bane's a very good player. He's a really good fit for the Orlando Magic, but this is simply an overpay. Bane's a good player. This past year, he averaged 19 points a game. This past season, he shot 39% from 3, which is very good on six attempts. The year prior, when he was healthy, he averaged 23, almost 24 points a game. He shot 38% from 3 on 8.5 attempts. So this is one of the best three-point shooters in the league. He's a very good player. He's a really good fit for the Magic. They need three-point shooting desperately. However, this screams Mikal Bridges trade to me. I've seen this. Trust me, as a Knicks fan, I've seen this movie before. This is an overpay. Okay. The players you gave up, Caldwell Pope didn't have a great year. You brought him in on a 3-year deal. I think you gave him whatever, 50 or 60 million, whatever you gave him. You know, he didn't bring the floor space that he brought in Denver. Again, in Denver, he's playing next to Nikola Jokic, the best player in the sport. He's playing next to Jamal Murray. He's playing next to Michael Porter Jr. He's open all the time. That's why, you know, those 2 years in Denver, he was able to average 10 points a game and shoot close to 40% from 3. Then you go to Orlando, where, you know, your top 2 players are Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, who aren't, you know, those are both excellent basketball players, but they're not, you know, true floor spacers. You see his numbers different. He only averages 8 points a game. You know, he shot 34% from 3. So you can get rid of him. Okay, that's fine. Cole Anthony's a guy who you drafted very high, hasn't quite worked out. He averaged 9 points a game this year, shot 35% from 3. He's a good defender. He's a very solid defender. However, he's basically a worse-off version than Jalen Suggs, who you already have. Suggs is an elite-level perimeter defender. Not, you know, a great offensive player, not a great shooter, but excellent defender. Cole Anthony's kind of a guy. Not much of a scorer, an okay shooter, but not great. But a good defender. He's store brand Jalen Suggs, who you already have. So you send him up, but just 4 first-round picks. Like, all of a sudden, you look at this team stays healthy with, you know, Jalen Suggs, Bane, Franz Wagner, Paolo, and then Wendell Carter at the big man spot. You still have a couple of other pieces there coming off the bench. Also, this does look a very good team if they're healthy. Also, you know, Desmond Baines is a bit injury prone. Paolo and Franz missed a lot of time this past year. Are they going to stay healthy? That's a concern. I get if that team is fully healthy, you know, in the wide open East, they could be the 3 or 4 seed. They could possibly be in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's not out of the question. But you know, it's most of the guy getting to the next level, and just, you know, if you're giving up 4 first-round picks, 4 or 5 first-round picks, it has to be for a star. It has to be for, you know, Giannis. The only guy that's available currently, I would probably give up more than 3 first-round picks for is probably Giannis. I wouldn't even give up 3 first-rounders for Kevin Durant right now. I'm going to be completely honest. I might give you, like, 2 first-rounders for Kevin Durant for a year or 2. I wouldn't give up 3 firsts, or certainly not 4 or 5. And, it's the same thing with Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges is a very good player, excellent perimeter defender, really good, you know, mid-range scorer. You know, not the best three-point shooter, but will hit one once in a while. You know, fit the Knicks scheme really well. But he's at best the third best player on a good team. Like, you're not giving up 5 first-round picks for this guy. Like, that's just simply an overpay. You know, it's the kind of thing like, all right, you better win a championship this year, but this is going to look really bad. And then when you don't even get to the finals, this doesn't look very good. Now, the Magic, all right, yeah, this means he's a very good player. He's a really good three-point shooter. He can defend the perimeter. He's a good player. He's a really good fit for the Magic. But, you know, but 4 first-round picks in the swap is simply too much. Plus KCP and Cole Anthony, it's simply too much to give up. If they had done, like, 2 first swap, if they did pick 16, maybe they're picking 28, you know, a swap in 29, and then Cole Anthony and KCP. This is probably it'd be a slight overpay still, but it'd be nearly as bad. Like, that'll actually be a pretty good move. I was like, all right, maybe, you know, you could have done maybe instead like one of their bigs, and they outside of Wendell Carr, they have Goga Badatsa, and they got another big over there too. If they given up like, you know, one of those guys a post, and, you know, instead of KCP or Cole Anthony, with, and then you give up pick 16, the first rounder in 2028, and then a swap in 29. This is like, all right, still a slight overpay, but it would make a lot more sense. Just simply an overpay. And again, the Magic are in a spot to where if they don't win a championship this year, which I highly doubt they are, I think their ceiling is probably East Conference Finals, but it's hard to see them getting much further than that. Like, they're, assuming the Indiana team has come back, which it looks like it is, they're probably going to get better. They're not better than them. Are they better than the Knicks? I mean, the Knicks have a lot of things to figure out. They got to get a coach, first of all. Currently McCown and McKill are two guys I could see possibly getting moved. What do you get back from those guys if one of those guys gets moved? So right now, I still don't think you are, to be honest. Boston Celtics, maybe you're better than them, depending on what they do. Maybe you're better suited to, in a 7-game series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. But, if the Detroit Pistons go out and make a big move, they could be a better team than you. So, like, I think right now, at best, you're the 3 seed in the East and losing in these conference finals. That's probably the best case scenario. At worst, you're like a 5 losing in the first or second round. And again, you get four first-round picks for a guy like Desmond Bane, who's a very good player, but he's not a superstar. He's not a star. He's never played a full season in his career. He's played 69 games or less in each of the last 3 seasons. Before this year, he hadn't played 60 games this season since his second year in 2022, and he played 76. It's just, this move is simply an overpay by the Orlando Magic. Although they get a good player, we'll see what happens to them in the season. But good job by the Grizzlies. You get 4 first-round picks. You get the 16th pick this year. You have 2 ones this year. You're going to have 2 ones next year. And that Suns pick is probably going to be pretty high. You have 2 firsts in 28 and 30. You have a swap, and you swap rights in swap rights in 29. And I heard they're not looking to trade John Morant or Jaren Jackson Jr. I might look into that. I don't know. John Morant, he's got his next, injuries, obviously, the off-the-court stuff that's happened, but that guy is as athletic as it gets at the point guard position. That guy's really freaking good when he's healthy. Jaren Jackson Jr. was Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago. Top 5 defensive player in the sport. He's basically probably you could argue he's Evan Mobley, probably even better player than Evan Mobley, who's a very good player. If you've got 4 firsts and two at least not bad role pieces for the Desmond Bane. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's is a decent player. In the right system is a decent 3-and-D guy to have. He won a championship a couple of years ago with Denver. Cole Anthony is not a bad role player to have. He's a solid, defender, can shoot a tiny bit on your bench. Still very young. KCP isn't old. And 4 firsts on a swap for Desmond Bane. What could you get for, John Morant, who went healthy? He's one of the best point guards in the league. What are you going to get for Jaren Jackson Jr., who's one of the premier defensive players in the sport? Well, I wonder what the heck if Giannis gets traded by the Bucks, what the hell is he going to go for? Is he going to get 8 first-round picks? Are the Bucks going to get 8 firsts for this guy? Like, if I'm the Bucks, I'm like, Mikal Bridges, who is not a very good 3-point shooter, averages, 18 points a game? Went for 5 firsts. Desmond Bane, guy who averages 19, 20 points a game, is injury-prone. Went for 4 firsts and 2 decent players. If I'm Giannis, you got to get back. I want a star player, a couple of really good young players, and probably 7 first-round picks. But regardless, Magic get Desmond Bane. I like the Grizzlies getting the picks. Magic get a good player, but I believe they overpaid for Desmond Bane. Okay, to close out today, of course, is the absolutely blockbuster and shocking MLB trade that broke last night. The Boston Red Sox sent, I guess, designated hitter Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants. In return, they get back starting pitcher Jordan Hicks, starting pitcher Kyle Harrison, and 2 prospects, outfielder Jordan Tibbs, and pitcher Jose Bello. This is a loaded trade, and I don't understand it. For the Boston Red Sox, I think this kind of screams Luka Doncic trade. I'm not going to lie. Let me explain. I understand why the Dallas Mavericks would look to move Luka Doncic. He's a guy who is a liability defensively. He's not in the best shape in the world. He's very slow. It can be hard to play around him. He was very bad in the finals last year. He's eligible for a $350 or $360 million extension this offseason. I can understand why you have concerns that he can be, the face of your franchise and can be the guy who's going to lead you to an NBA championship. And you wouldn't want to pay him that money. See why you trade him. But to trade him in the middle of the season, off the heels of a finals berth, and only get back Anthony Davis and a first rounder in like 6 or 7 years is simply not good enough. It simply isn't good enough. And the Red Sox, Rafael Devers was not happy. The fact that he wasn't willing to move off of third base when he's the worst defensive third baseman in the league. He's not like he's in a contract. He already got his bag. After they signed the best defensive third baseman in the American League in the offseason, Alex Bregman, is just beyond me why he wouldn't want to move to first base after Tristan Casas had a season-ending injury to help a team when you're on a $330 million contract is beyond me. So I said on his podcast after he threw the GM under the bus after he freaked out when they wanted him to move to first. I said I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded. He's a $300 million designated hitter. Unless your name is Shohei Ohtani, you're not paying a DH $313 million. And Pete Alonso is one of the best first basemen in the league. He got what did he get? $54 million from the Mets in the offseason? And he's not the best first baseman defensively, but I'll say he's an okay defensive first baseman, but he's also a guy that at his worst is hitting 35 homers and 80 RBIs. At his best, giving 40, 50 homers, 110 plus RBIs. And he got, $55 million? So, I get why he'd move him. I'm not going to lie, if he was traded in the offseason, I would have not been surprised. Would even hate it that much. But to trade him in the middle of the season, a team that's had a rough year. They've been disappointing. A lot of injuries in their rotation. But have been getting their season together. Been playing some really good baseball lately. You take 5 out of 6 from the New York Yankees. You swept them. This past weekend, it's on Father's Day weekend, and then you trade Rafael Devers for this. Also, look at the return. Kyle Harrison, who I think could be a very good pitcher in this league. He's only 23 years old. He's got good stuff. He has a 4.56 ERA in 8 games, only 4 starts this year. He had a 4.56 ERA in 24 starts last year. He's a 4.48 in 35 career starts. Right now, he's a mediocre starter, and you put him in the minor leagues. They view him as a minor league starting pitcher right now. And Jordan Hicks has been awful this year. 6.47 ERA this year. This guy's had a really, really weird career. He came up a closer for the Cardinals back in 2018. He had 2 strong years as a reliever for the Cardinals. He saved 20 games for them in 18 and 19 combined. Had a 3.59 and a 3.14. We had 3.59, 73 games, 6 saves in 18. Going to 19, he was their closer. But he was hurt most of the year. Then he opted out during the pandemic year. He came back in 21, came out of the gate really bad. A lot of injuries, didn't play a whole lot. They tried making him a star in 2022. It blew up in their face. He eventually ended up back in the bullpen. More injuries. At one point, I think he at one point he was getting all these shots and just he was trying to figure out why his arm is having all these problems. Then they moved him back to the bullpen 2 years ago, and he pitches pretty well. As their their part-time closer, and then he finished the year in Toronto after going in the trade deadline. He pitched really well for them. Then he signed with the Giants prior to last year's start, and they decided they're making him a star, which doesn't make any sense considering he's been much better as a reliever. And it was up and down between the rotation and the bullpen. Ends up with 29 games and 20 starts, had a 4.1 ERA. So had an okay year last year as a starter reliever, and then this year as a starter, he's been horrible. The point is, they just took him out of the rotation, and that's the guy you get back. So it's a guy who's 28 years old, has another center next year at an okay rate, but been atrocious this year. And then the prospects, you get back Jordan Tibbs, who was a first-round pick last year. So he must be kind of good, but In high A this year, in 57 games, hitting 246, 12 homers, 32 RBIs, 41 runs scored, and 3 steals. I mean, he's still young. He's 22 years old. He's hitting 240 in high A. Like, am I overreacting? He's hitting 240 in high A. And Jose Bayo has never, I don't even know if he's a starter. He has 8 relief appearances this year with an ERA of 2 in 18 innings of 28 strikeouts and a .7 whip, but in 8 games out of the bullpen in rookie ball. Like, look, his numbers are good. 8 games for 18 innings in 8 games. You know, he's able to give you length, 28 strikeout, .7 whip, and 2 ERA, so he could start eventually. But he's in rookie ball, so you don't really know what you're getting out of him. You know, he's probably somewhere between a decent starter and maybe a good reliever. For Rafael Devers, obviously he's a butcher defensively. He's a head case. But the guy this year was hitting 271 with 14 homers, 57 RBIs, a 400 on base, 494 slugging, and an 894 OPS. First career, in 4,000 at-bats first career, he was a 279 career hitter with 214 home runs. He's got a career of 349 on bases. On bases 400 this year. He's got 858 career slugging. He's numbers-wise almost having a career year. He's batting basically what he always bats. You usually got that gives you, 35-ish home runs a season. He's got 14 home runs. It's the middle of June. You usually get for, 100, 110 RBIs. He's already got 57 ribbies. He's got 349 on base for his career. His on base is 400 right now. His slugging is right in the ballpark of what it normally is. OPS is even higher than what it normally is. This is his OPS plus. Like, he's still only 28 years old. He's got 8 or 10 years left on his contract. And he's like, they took on his whole contract. There's no salary cap in baseball. A salary dump in a sport to where there's no salary cap is something else. That's interesting. It's very interesting. To me, he's having the best year of his career offensively. He's played every game this year. He plays every game. This is since 2020. This is the game he's played throughout his career. 17, he came up late in the year, played 58 games. Then this is per year. 121, 156, 57. I have 60 in the pandemic year. 156, 141, 153, 158, and then 72 this year out of possibly 72. Yeah, he does not miss games. He does not miss games whatsoever. He's been an All-Star 3 times. He's been a Silver Slugger twice. He's been an MVP-ish candidate. I don't get it. And to me, he's having the best year of his career. The best year of his career to this point, numbers-wise, is probably 2019, where he had 32 homers, 115 RBIs. He hit 311. Led the league with 54 doubles. Led the league in total bases. This year, he's hitting through 72 games, hitting 271, 14 homers, 57 RBIs, leads the league in games played. He leads the league in walks. This guy's never had more than 67 walks in a season. Already has 55 walks this year. This guy usually is good for 140 strikeouts every year. He has 76 right now, so he's he's on pace to have even more, but that's okay in today's league. His guy is on base usually around 350. He's at 400 right now. His slugging is usually 480 and 550. It's at 490 right now, so right in the ballpark. His OPS is usually 850, 870, 890. It's right now it is 894, so it's right in the ballpark. Why? You were just starting to turn your season around, and then you smack the fans in the face with this. For a Kyle Harrison, who right now is a minor league starting pitcher. He's probably going to be in the rotation, but right now he's a minor league starting pitcher. So at best, he's a 4th or a 5th starter right now. Could get better, but at best, a 4th or 5th starter right now is in the minor leagues. Hicks is god-awful. He's basically a minor league level pitcher. You get back an outfield prospect who, I guess he was a first-round pick last year, but I think could be a good player. I don't know if he'll be great. Again, he's hitting 240 in high A. And then a reliever and a potentially good reliever. That's a terrible return for Rafael Devers. It's simply terrible. Like, you couldn't, sit him down like, okay, look, we've had our disagreements about the year, about, the moving your position multiple times, and you've made your thoughts known. I understand. I get this is probably not going to go anywhere, our relationship. However, we need you this year. We're playing good baseball. We're back in the race. If we keep going, maybe make a move up a trade deadline. We got a couple of really good prospects that just came up. Roman Anthony, Marcelo Mayer, obviously Christian Campbell's been here since day one. I think this team has a chance to make a deep playoff run this year. We need you right now. We think you're an amazing player. You're our best hitter. Our best player, definitely our best hitter. We think you may be able to help lead us to a championship this year. After the season, we do plan to trade you in the off season. We now this relationship has run its course. It's not salvageable. We understand you deserve a better relationship with the organization. We will trade you in the off season, but we just for now just go out there, be our DH, continue hitting the ball like you are. You're doing great. You've been an amazing player since you stepped foot on the diamond. Dude at 20 years old in 2017, hit 284 of 10 homers and 30 RBIs and 220 at bats. Just absolutely insane talent. But we will be trading you in the offseason. The average per like, okay, fine. And then that's that. And then you get through the year. Hopefully you make the playoffs. Obviously, if you fall out at the trade deadline, maybe you go back to the table like, hey, since we're out of it, we're going to try and maximize our return. Maybe you sell off guys like Aroldis Chapman and free agents to be. Maybe you sniff around with Trevor Story and Masataka Yoshida. If Bregman gets back healthy, maybe you look to move him because he might opt out. If I'm Bregman, I'm like, yeah, see ya, bye. I'm opting out. It's mind blowing the fact that just again, similar to Luka trade. I get why you'd want to move him. It actually would make sense to move him in the offseason. The team that's got a lot of injuries in their starting rotation doesn't have a lot of bullpen support. Trade him to strengthen your pitching. You have so many bats between the kids that have just got here. Christian Campbell, who's a second baseman, and Mayers is an infielder. Roman Anthony is an outfielder. Maybe he ends up moving to first. Maybe he DHs. And then plus you got Trevor Story for a couple of years. You still have Yoshida on your book. Well, you're Abreu having a great season. Carlos Narvaez is a young catcher he got from the Yankees for nothing, who's played really well for you. I think you have even more kids that are coming up through the farm. If Casey can ever get healthy, you have him next year. Guy's got a lot of power. We have a ton of bats. Don't forget about Cedeno Rafaelo as well, who's still young. But pitching wise, obviously Crochet's amazing, but Bayo's pretty good. But other than that, it's like Giolito is hurt. Coming off an injury. You have a bunch of other guys. That are hurt. The bullpen again, outside Chapman isn't much in that bullpen. Trade him. Get back a really good starter. Get back a bullpen piece. Get back some prospects. And if anything, it opens payroll space to go out and sign. If these kids, Anthony Campbell and what's his name, Mayer, impress you. Sign them to those big extensions you see these teams doing. Go out and get them, for, it's a big deal for a 21, 22, 23-year-old, but for a guy who is, when he hits the open market, considering the contracts they got, might get, $500 million or more, getting him for $150 million now is honestly a bargain. Like, if Roman Anthony wins Rookie of the Year and the offseason, you sign that guy for $140 million, or even anything under 200. This is a guy, in 4 or 5 years might be worth $600 million. You got, guys getting $600, $700 million. Can only imagine, Albert De La Cruz will probably get a ginormous deal like that. Vlad just got $500 million. Go and do that. But just to trade him in the middle of the season when you're playing really good baseball, coming off of, 2 huge series against the New York Yankees. He's by far your best hitter, an amazing player. And just to trade him for that, you get 2 below-average pitchers and 2 prospects who we're not going to see for a couple of years and have limited ceilings. That's abysmal. Just abysmal. Just abysmal. And Craig Breeslow, their GM, I like the Bregman signing. You can't help that he got hurt. Before he got hurt, this is a guy who was having an MVP caliber year. The guy's still a great hitter. Gold Glove third baseman. 2-time World Series champion, future Hall of Famer. Was having a great year. You know, the Crochet trade, you gave up a lot. You gave up one of the best catching prospects in baseball in Kyle Teal. You gave up your first round pick last year in Bane Montgomery, who's I think it's gonna be really good. You gave up other prospects, but you don't give up Christian Campbell. You don't give up Marcelo Mayer. You don't give up Roman Anthony. You signed Crochet to a pretty fair extension. You give him less than what Corbin Burns and Max Fried got, and he's better than those two guys right now. You guys been amazing. The Chapman signing has worked out, but also you didn't account for the rotation injuries. You didn't do it enough to address the bullpen. And this is just, and now you trade away Rafael Devers. It's just, dude. And last year you traded Chris Sale for Vaughn Grissom. I get Sale for several years had been declining, had a lot of arm issues. You couldn't have expected him to go out and win a signing last year, but a guy who is one of the best starting pitchers you've had in your franchise history in a while. That was a huge piece of your World Series team in 2018. Traded for a minor league for a minor league player, and you paid half his salary, basically. That's just terrible, and just hilarious at the Boston Red Sox. Not only did I trade Babe Ruth for literally a bucket of baseballs to the Yankees 100 years ago, they traded Mookie Betts, one of the best players in the sport, to the Dodgers for Connor Wong, who's at best an average starting catcher. I don't know if he's a starting catcher. Alex Verdugo, an average starting outfielder, who hasn't played for you in 2 years. And one of the worst top prospects in recent memory in injury or down, who I don't even think is in the league anymore. Never even saw light of day on the Red Sox major league roster. You trade Chris Sale, a young starting pitcher, for a minor league infielder. And then you trade Rafael Devers, one of the best hitters in baseball, for 2 minor league starting pitchers and 2 mediocre prospects. Just, God. For a team that's won 8 World Series, you've won 4 in the last 25 years. They are very poorly run. I'm sorry. And this is on all of them. This is on Craig Breezel, the GM. He has not done a good job. Shane Bloom, he got a lot of flack. That Mookie Betts trade is one of the worst trades in league history. He did not do a good enough job, but I think he did a better job than what's his name? Craig Breezel. And in fact, is he not? He's out with the Giants. He got a job, Shane Bloom. He's out with the Giants, is he? I know. Let me look at something. Is he? I know Buster Posey, the future Hall of Fame catcher for them, obviously is. No, he's with the Cardinals. Never mind. I was gonna say if Shane Bloom was with the Giants, I would have laughed my bum off. But yeah. So yeah, I think he did a better job than Breezlow. Again, the Crochet trade and extension was great. I like the Bregman signing, but Chapman signing was good. It was good value. But this Devers trade is awful. The Sale trade was awful. You didn't do enough to address your pitching. Why didn't you trade somebody for some pitching? Where was Rafael Yoshida? If you could finally move Trevor Story. Hell, Willie Abreu's been amazing, but if you were able to maybe get a big package of pitchers back, you should have traded somebody for some pitching. And that's just honestly, he's done a pretty bad job, to be honest. He has not done a good enough job. This is a step backwards. Shame on him. Shame on Ted Kennedy. I think he's the team president or whatever. Shame on, I guess, the UF Epstein, who's now very involved in that front office. Obviously, the guy who was the GM who broke the curse in 2004. Then he went to the Cubs, obviously. Then he worked for MLB. Now he's like the assistant. He's like the assistant to the vice president of baseball operations now. And shame on John Henry and Family Sports Group. You'll have the money. And you just spent $150 million on a soccer player for your Liverpool team, but Rafael Devers, nope, not good enough. And I saw something that apparently they made a big signing for the Liverpool team right around when they trade Mookie Betts too. So he doesn't care about the Red Sox. Family Sports Group does not care about the Red Sox. They should sell a team, and this is a just vilely bad trade for the Boston Red Sox. But San Francisco Giants, you give up 2 meh starting pitchers, 2 prospects, and now you get one of the league's best hitters, and you take on his whole contract, but that's okay because there's no salary cap in baseball. And you have 2 of the best third basemen in the sport, Matt Chapman, who's amazing. He's defensively the best, and he's a guy who hits 30 home runs, and Devers, who doesn't really play much defense, but a guy who's going to give you 30 and 110. So, crazy trade. So we got for you guys today. Not going to see me in a studio for a very, very long time. My college career is basically over. I'm going back home tomorrow. Thank you to everyone who has watched the show. Continue to watch. I'm going to continue to do this on Zoom. Gonna try and do basically every single day until further notice. Not sure what the future holds, but for now, still on Zoom every single day. No show tomorrow, but we'll be back on Zoom most likely on Wednesday. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Studio, it's been real. Hopefully this is the last time. Not sure. I'm sure I'll at some point be in here, maybe like once in a while. Maybe just for old time's sake. I still have some contacts up here, even though I'm not with the school anymore. Starting about by end of summer, I still have a lot of contacts up here. I'll still be able to get somebody to let me in here. I know people who may want maybe have me pop in for something. Maybe once in a while, I'll do something in here if I can. But this is the norm is going to be not in the studio really for the rest of time. So thank you everyone. Continue to watch the show, please. Love you guys. Follow me on everything, TikTok and all that stuff. I can continue to do. Thank you. I'll continue to watch the show. And thank you to the studio. It's been real. Till next time. So long. Have a great day.